Welcome to Afterthoughts, everybody. This is a very special episode. I am your host, John Garcia. Joining me, our usual crew, we have Ryan King.
How's it going? I have my katana, watching my anime.
Just like Jarmusch.
Yes, it's for ghost dog.
It's for ghost dog things.
Yeah.
And also joining us.
It's an homage.
That's enough, Ryan. That's enough. And also joining us, Michael Dixon.
How's it going, John? Yeah, excited to talk through what we got here on this episode.
Yeah, and everybody listening out there, we've been kind of off for a little bit here, so we're getting back into the swing of things. But I thought it'd be really cool to bring some special local stuff into the podcast. And so recently, as everybody out there who's listened long enough knows, I volunteer with the Hyperreal Film Club here in town. They partner with AFS sometimes. They work with a lot of other local film communities in Austin, Texas. And they did their first short film festival in their new space, their new brick and mortar that's opened up. And I got permission to cover it. I was like, oh, sweet. We're going to get to talk about it in the podcast.
John may or may not have gotten permission to cover this festival.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you for that disclaimer. And so we're going to try to talk through it. We're going to have a kind of a discussion around it because I think the last time we've done a film festival was for Austin Film Festival, like the actual AFS one where we talked about, did we do South by as well?
Either that or South by, yeah.
We did a little bit of both, I feel like. And both of those, Ryan was not able to attend or participate, but a lot of the short films here are available digitally, and we did acquire permission to do this. So we were able to get Ryan a seat, even though he's in California. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it. I want to talk a little bit about this. We're going to go through our top three. We'll start from the third. And I figure since I've already seen these enough times, I feel like I'm more interested in what y'all have as your three.
John, maybe a quick question first.
Yeah.
Is it all local filmmakers who participated in this festival?
I believe that some of them are local. Some of them, it might be that we sourced it when they were in town. I don't entirely, I wasn't privy to that part of the process.
There's
I will tell you
some sort of tangential Austin
there is a
connection.
tangential local community connection. There are
certainly a lot of Austin film locations.
So like the way that this film festival broke down, because I got to be kind of on the jury for choosing what got into it. We had a selection where we sat for, I want to say it was like a full day, and just watched all these shorts because Hyperreal, while they show films, they show normal, like kind of cult genre film. They'll show popular stuff from the 90s, all that. They also give a preface with an intro and short filmmaker that they will bring up that has something to do thematically with the movie. It can be atmospherically, it can be experimental, it can be anything really, as long as the filmmaker's there to talk about their work. And so from that, we entered this kind of queue where we're keeping an eye on some of the short films, and then we curate them over time. And for the short film festival, we were like, let's go back through and see what we've got and screen it and then get permission to actually run the short film fest. And we'll invite some of the creators out.
Nice.
So yeah.
How many films did you start with to whittle down to the 9 that were in the festival?
I don't fully remember. So this short film festival was only about an hour and 30 minutes. That much I know. But we sat for 4 hours, I want to say, watching shorts on one day. And then the day before we had watched like music videos and we're judging those.
Oh, cool.
That was kind of shorter. So I just remember it being a lot of whiplash is really what I remember. Like if y'all thought that this particular cut had whiplash, the way that it was all stitched together, that first go around was real rough. We were watching the Day the Earth Got Free Richard Pryor photos, and then it went right into labor and justice. And I was like, all right. And then it went right into Mr. Clown Saves the Town. And I was like, guess we're going right back out. It's things I've never thought about in a short film festival because I've mostly just thought of like feature length film fests.
Yeah.
That are problems.
You don't have as much time to ingest the thoughts behind the film before you just dive right into the next one.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting to see that rapid fire. But anyways, that's how it all came together. Hopefully that answered your question, Dixon. But yeah, we will go around and kind of give our third in the ranking of top threes. So, Dixon, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, so I had a really good time watching these. I whittling it down to three. My number three was called Honey and Milk.
We did the best we could.
I need one last night together as us. Or
Something new.
Which I thought was a pretty interesting film. I think in the credits it said it was sponsored by Austin Film Society, so that was cool to see. But yeah, it's a very short story to try to deal with like a larger subject of a couple that's together and dealing with the characters don't have names, so I'm gonna say male, even though that may not fully apply here. But the male in the relationship, like having some issues, like some questions with his sexuality, leading to them potentially breaking up or trying to deal with that as he is, considering his sexual path forward with the rest of his life. And it's only like, I don't know, 9 or 10 minutes, but I thought it did a really good job of making you feel like all those emotions felt earned. It felt like a couple that had been together for a really long time that was trying to navigate something like this that was, a kind of a curveball into their relationship that maybe was something that, the one character had been dealing with a long time and keeping that suppressed, and his girlfriend being very open to trying to help him with that and maybe realizing that she can't, and that, he needs to, figure this out on his own, and she can't be part of that even if she wants to be, and he really loves her and values that relationship. And again, I'm probably using incorrect pronouns here. I'm trying to differentiate between the bearded character and the non-bearded character, essentially. Yes. But yeah, I thought it was really good and created a much deeper relationship than I was expecting for a film that was so short.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is also my number three.
Hey.
There you go.
Yeah.
What if we all have the same top three?
No, that can't be true.
I don't know. The last four for me are kind of like they're all kind of right there where
they're
I thought
heavy
they were all
hitters.
pretty good. And,
like
they're pretty
end,
interesting.
Just immediately, strong narrative.
I do think that there's a couple that will stick with me, and this is one of them where it's just a good example to think back on of kind of relationships in general, but into a relationship that maybe is a little more out of your hands.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting to look at because really for both of them, it's just like a change, and it's not that like the relationship was bad or not that someone was problematic in the relationship. It's just someone realizing they are different and want something different, and the other person kind of being left out at the end of it. And but still, like, it's tough because you can tell they both are like pained by it, but also like it is the right thing too. I think the line that really got me too was the person going through the transition kind of saying, I only could have done this if I was with you. Like that was a relationship that was so strong to let them be themselves, but that meant they had to leave the relationship, right?
I totally resonated with the characters because of that buildup to them living a full life. Like you see, I like the way that it's edited out of order, the way that it's like these quick moments between them as you're catching up while you're watching it, and you're like really piecing together what's happened in their relationship. I feel like there are so many ways that kind of collapse could be mishandled or made more melodramatic and could feel a little more hollow. And the scene that they have in like the kitchen where there's that initial argument, the body language of them like both hostilely doing things around each other, really more the painter, her just doing stuff around her partner, and then getting in a fight over a pot that her grandmother gave them. And so like that buildup where she's like, I don't care about the pot. Like, I don't want to keep the pot. I just want to keep everything the same that it is. And it like, that punches so hard emotionally. And I don't know, just that buildup gets me every time. I had to judge this. I watched this again during the film festival. I watched it again leading up to this just to get refreshed on it. And every time it just hits as hard.
Yeah. And I think it's really rare that you see I mean, I don't know how long this was, like 8 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's really rare to, I think, to see a short film that is that short, that is able to touch on such grand ideas and such universal topics where like I think it's a really interesting analysis of like, you know, maybe that relationship can be the right relationship for you at the time, but it's not necessarily the right relationship for you throughout the course of your life. And like these two characters seem to genuinely love each other, but are just on different paths and they're trying to keep it together. And, you know, maybe sometimes it's, you know, it's not best for everybody to be with one person for the whole lives, you know, and as you're experiencing different things, you go through your life, you know, you have to adjust and, you know, as you evolve as a person, you know, you need different things. And, you know, I thought it was just kind of beautifully sad in that way.
Yeah, the song selection too, like the score that's used in it, just really good undertone. It fits really well with the piece, and even ends on sort of a bittersweet but happy like credit scene. Big like metaphorical swimming out in the big sea alone, but happy for the character that's transitioning. So, yeah, just I agree. It's not my number 3. It is my number 2. I'll spoil that.
Oh, okay.
But I liked it.
Well, we
a
all
lot.
had a good time with this one then.
Yeah, we did.
Cool.
Ryan,
What is
that your 3?
what is your 3 then?
My 3 was Raka, actually. I really enjoy Raka.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Today I'm gonna be reviewing my favorite snack. It's called the Sundra. Fuck! Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up, everybody? Today I'm gonna be reviewing my favorite snack. It's called the Sundra shrimp.
But I feel like every time that I've gone back to Raka, I kind of want more out of it than I did before. And I still really enjoy it. I think that that's a fun, surreal, really local, like Rockport, Texas kind of scene. Every character in it is so unique. And I think that it really nails having like idiosyncratic characters that make it seem like it's ripe for like a pilot series or something. Maybe not specifically around the core character, because I feel like too much of him would be, I don't know. I just don't know if I could handle it. But I also, I laughed a lot during Raka, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, he's a kind of an abrasive lead character, and I think it's an interesting concept that the film is dealing with, where, you know, they have this monologue at the start. It's like, you know, what if you are actually your worst enemy, and like you can't move forward in life until you learn to love yourself? And it's like this guy who is kind of a sad sack, and his friends don't like him because he's a sad sack, and he, you know, is constantly fucking things up, and like, you know, he's throughout the film trying to gain their favor and realizing by the end that he has to gain favor with himself, or he's never going to actually be respected in the eyes of anybody else, which is, you know, kind of interesting, tough love kind of message, but done in a fun way.
Yeah, it takes such a curve too, because it starts out in that serious, it's a Carl Jung quote that's being read, and they have this crazy, the other thing I love is the costume design. The fucking outfit is wild.
Yeah.
They just cut up like all these ice bags and they make this big like pom-pom-esque
Like a
costume
ghillie
for
suit
somebody to
or
wear and
whatever.
dance around
Yeah.
to like bongo drums. And there's such like a slow build into what the fuck that is, that I feel like it does a good job of balancing showing you like this character going on like a typical errand, but making it into kind of a grand side quest for distractions purposes. You already get like so much from the characters the moment that the short starts, when he's trying to like review his dried shrimp in his car and the phone keeps falling and he's getting like really frustrated. And
Is
then
that a
he's like,
real thing, by the way?
the dried shrimp thing?
Yeah. It's like, does that come in like a snack bag that you get at the grocery store? Like dehydrated shrimp? That's
Dehydrated
wild.
shrimp.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, there's the really small, tiny ones like you get in Asian groceries, like
oh, interesting.
prawn. They're usually
I've never
like
seen that before.
prawns, but it's the same thing.
Yeah. I guess it's probably not that much weirder than like pork rinds or something, but yeah, I've just never seen
Yeah.
that.
Well, you know what? I went on a little tear. I know that Ryan probably already knew this, but Tears of Future Sadness isn't an anime.
Oh man, you guys haven't seen Tears of Future Sadness?
No.
But I was like, is there something that I'm missing that I should know? And it was like, no, not at all.
I
That's
thought
literally
it
a
was like, I
throwaway.
assumed it was like an indie band or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was like, that's not that can't. I love that he says that too, of like, you haven't seen it? It's a classic.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think that's a thing. Yeah, Rocco was like just outside that top 3 for me.
Mhm.
Like I did really enjoy it. And I think from the comedy bits, it probably has the funniest bits in this.
Yeah.
Like when he's fighting, when he takes the ice bag from the lady. There's like the last ice bag at the grocery store, and then she just throws whatever the hell it is and just nails him.
There's so many like weird non sequitur things in it, like that there's a real estate agent fight night that's just a traditional thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, oh, of course, no one wants to see the fireworks. Everyone's going to the realtor fight night. What?
I mean, have you seen a realtor fight night? I've seen fireworks.
Oh my God.
Good point.
I just love that. And like, yeah, Rocca was tightly written in how it set up its jokes and payoffs, and also like the way that it rapid fire delivered these kind of unexpected cuts. I felt like from an editing standpoint, it must have been really fun to review it as you're going through and making those clips, because it felt so punchy. There's so much thought put into what the characters were that makes them distinct. Like I remember everybody when I think back on it. It's like the dude with the hat and the tropical vest, and the other guy who looks vaguely like Sam Rockwell in Galaxy Quest.
There's even a guy that says, "You are my favorite customer."
Yeah, exactly. The guy that says, "You're my favorite customer." What is I don't even know what the character's name is. I just call him Rocca. What does Rocca say?
Yeah, I guess he's Rocca.
He says like, he's like the love that I have for this country is not equivocal to the love that you have for this country. Yeah. So, it's like, sounds like really random wild shit.
Yeah, the immigrant store owner has a much deeper grasp of the English language than he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite line in the whole film festival was, "My favorite color is clear."
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that zero hesitation that guy is like, of course it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's delightfully written, and one of those that, again, every time that I see it, I want a little bit more from it, which is a good sign, I would say, from like in terms of what the writer and director could do. I believe
Are you saying that you would like to see a longer form version of this?
Yeah, I just want to see more of whatever this world is.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what. I feel like it could be. Like, it's one of those that I could see being, I'm not going to say it's going to be like corporate or something, but there is that kind of zaniness to like a lived in town.
Mm-hmm.
That like corporate has like that crazy, this is what fucking upper management, like corporate life could be like in the cynicism. I feel like Rocca has some of that sort of somewhere right below the surface. Like if there were to be extended stories of some of the characters, like what would they get into? But yeah, Rocca was directed by and written by Drew Saplin. I also didn't mention that Honey and Milk was written and directed by Dash Donato. I've taken note down of some of these folks just so that we have names on record, so you can like follow them, see what they're up to, what they're making, because some of these filmmakers have really interesting ideas. I want to see where they go.
Yeah.
But
There's
yeah.
also a scene in Rocca that was shot in front of a very blurry Cabo Bob's, but you could tell it was a Cabo Bob's. It was like they didn't want to pay for the rights there. But shout out to Cabo Bob's. I love those tortillas.
Yeah, so that was my number 3. Well, should we move on to number 2s now that we've covered that round?
Okay, my number 2 was an animated short film called Tightly Wound.
Deep breath in. There's nothing worse than being rejected for a part of yourself that you're working so hard to change. A part that has caused so much pain. A part that has pushed people away. Just because I can't have sex right now means I'm not enough for anyone. What if I never will be?
It was a animation about a medical condition that this girl experienced as she went through puberty and into adulthood called vaginismus. I believe I have that correct. Which is essentially a disease where her vagina does not open fully and she can't like use tampons or have sex. And it's about her journey through her, kind of self-doubt as she is dealing with this, and it's impacting her ability to have relationships with people, and she's going to different doctors and trying to solve it. And just a very personal, intimate film that I think the animation really helps to kind of bring it to life. And it's a weird kind of sensitive topic, but it just feels really just kind of universal about somebody struggling to kind of become themselves as an adult and deal with something that's ailing them and making them feel separate and other from everyone around them, and kind of the journey to self-actualization as you're trying to come to terms with who you are as an adult. So, as a dude, I still identified with it and felt like it was, something that I could kind of see in myself, being like an awkward teenager and growing up and dealing with, kind of whatever bullshit you're dealing with as you're going through that phase of life. Had no idea that was a disease, and
medical condition. It's not a disease.
I'm sorry, a medical condition. And I'm glad that in the post credit sequence, the director talks about how she has overcome this and is doing much better now. And it was a cool story to see that she has overcome those issues.
Yeah, I that's one of it didn't make my top 3, but I did really appreciate this short film because it's a great educational resource. Also it feels like it makes something that's a very sensitive topic really approachable and feeling intimate. And I feel like if you had done this with like live action, some people would have become a little more prudish, maybe have been more squeamish about it. But the animation itself kind of draws you in, has a certain charm to it and this relatability, and it really helps you lower your guard while you're watching. And it made me think about how, like, obviously same thing. I'm a dude. I don't know. I've never known about this until I've seen this. It's based on, I think, an essay that Shelby Haddon wrote in 2016, something like that. There was this exact experience. And it's one of those things where I could see myself in like a younger phase of my life meeting somebody who had this and like not believing them and being just a dick about it. I wouldn't say that I would go out of my way to be a dick, but just unintentionally, like, it captures so perfectly people who just don't take it seriously in her life. And it has that sting of like, oof. Like, yeah, when you've never heard of it or you'll never experience that same thing, how do you like get on that same level empathetically? How do you understand it and learn? And like the pains that having to mature cause to other people when they're not mature enough to deal with it yet. So I really liked it. It is available to stream online. I'm going to be linking all of the videos that are available to stream. Some of them are still going through festivals, the festival circuit. So they're unfortunately not available yet to stream, but if you just bookmark them and like, you can put them on your watch list on Letterboxd. Actually, they are there because Hyperreal has been like making sure that we're putting any that wouldn't be up for Letterboxd logging. So
that's legit.
Yeah.
I gotta log these. I didn't realize they would even be available there.
There you go.
Yeah, this one was also like just outside my top 3, but I think that the intimacy of something like a struggle like this being something that's even more intimate is really, really what drives it, right? That it really takes that depth of being something that's so difficult to talk about, and that is what makes it somewhat even more difficult than just the physical issues of it, of just being embarrassed to talk about it even to a doctor, right?
Yeah. And the so much done in the animation to make this like to emotionally resonate with you in abstract ways. It's one of those things where, like, when I said you could do this in a live action sense and it would probably make some people squeamish, but also if you don't have a high budget, doing live action means you're only going to be doing like the real dramatic scenes. Like you find a doctor's office, you find, your house, you're doing these really more grounded things, but there's so much that's played with in animation and shapes. I believe the animator Sebastian Bisbal was like primary collaborator, driver of those storyboards. And like, there's just so much beauty in the way that things transform from, and they follow the metaphor. They follow, like, she talks about like trying to push a lime out and it shows like a lime coming out of a vagina, but it's done in this way that's like tasteful and has the symbolism behind it. And then when she's going to see doctors, there's like a conveyor belt, pulling them along, and you just get so much more with animation that would cost a ton to try to do surreal, or would take you out of it if it was green screened in, like that kind of stuff. So I feel like the medium was just used so well as well for it.
Yeah,
it was great.
John, you talking about this being based on an essay reminds me of that terrible Kobe Bryant animated short film that won the Oscar several years ago.
Dear basketball, from the moment I started rolling my dad's tube socks,
Kobe wrote a poem about how much he loved basketball
and shooting imaginary game-winning shots in the Great Western Forum.
somebody animated it shittily and then it won an Oscar because
I knew one thing was real.
the Academy are a bunch of whores and they just like want to vote for Kobe Bryant because he's a famous Los Angeles person. This is like 100 times better than that. This is like,
easily.
Using animation in a really creative way to add to the words that are already there and to make it a really fulfilling and touching experience that works really well. But you comparing it to an essay, I was like, oh man, that reminds me of that Kobe film that really sucked, but the Academy gave it the award because that's what they do. But
I don't think they're going to use this as a box quote for any.
It's like the shitty Kobe movie, but good.
Yeah,
it's like about vaginas.
So much it's so much more well done.
100 times better than an Academy Award-winning film.
That's the quote.
Go.
There you go.
There
Boom.
you go.
Done. Easy. Nicely done. Good save.
Ryan, what was your number 2?
Yeah, it was a tough choice. Like Raka and Tightly Wound were real close with that third place. Second place for me was Supermarket Affairs.
Who are you? What
What do you mean? Who are you?
Are you dating my mom?
What? She's your mom? I'm not dating your mom. I'm actually not dating anybody.
I think this one just had an interesting use of like a couple different locations. This is another one where we get a lot about the characters without having to have exposition, names, like backstory. This is probably a good example of like what I complain about. I think this and Honey and Milk are good examples of what I complain about with horror movies, that these actually do really well. And this is not a horror movie, but they don't come in and explain to you like, hey, why are you're still upset about our recently dead dad?
Yeah.
And you don't like my boyfriend that I have now. Like, they don't explain that stuff out loud to each other like they do in those horrible horror movies. Like, they just let you figure things out as it goes along and these things happen. I think this one also has a really funny start, both with dealing with the cultural and language barrier that the mom is having in the supermarket. And then I died laughing when after she sees this guy like handing out free treats, and the mom like instantly is like imagining being in love with him, and it is absolutely like turns into one of those karaoke videos.
Yeah.
Like that like
that
Vaseline
CRT
smudge
kinda,
all over everything,
yeah.
and the lyrics come up at the bottom, and oh my god, that was so fucking hilarious. But yeah, I think just like an interesting view into a snapshot of some people's lives, a lot here that's relatable in just different parts of this. But kind of just seeing the struggle of this family, and in particular, a woman who kind of feels like the world, I guess, has passed her, that her time has passed. Her husband has died. Her daughter is soon to be married and moving on. Everything is confusing to her. Where she's at, and there's the hot younger guy that she couldn't possibly have a chance with, but she can imagine, I guess.
Yeah. And that I agree. Like, I think that this was one of the ones that I would have included in my top. I didn't, but it was like definitely gunning for it. One, that karaoke sequence, that transition into it, Dixon texted me and was like, what is happening?
Awesome.
I think I said, what the hell is this supermarket sing-along?
And it just comes out of nowhere so fast. And that's also like a real song. Like, they didn't make that for this short. That was released in 2018.
When I met you, I almost missed you as you stood right next to me in the aisle between detergents and wine, just in front of instant me.
And I was just like, wow, it's so wild how it fits. And watching that, just kind of feeling the looming grief within this short in particular. There's just such a cloud of sadness over the mother that permeates through when you're watching her like try to think. Even when she's happy, there's like a moment when she's like singing in her head that karaoke song, and then she's brought back to reality when she finds out she's in the car with a guy named John, and I was like, oh, come on, you gotta use a guy named John for this.
Clueless white guy named John.
Yeah. And he wears a beanie and like a jean jacket. And it's like the epitome of a John. And I felt like the cinematography here was really well done as well. Like it could make the supermarket feel overwhelming. Despite me knowing I've been there here in Austin, I've been to those markets. I know exactly where they are. And I was like, oh, this place is pretty small, but they made it feel so big with what they did. So yeah, well done. Short.
Yeah, I liked it. It didn't hit quite as well for me as some of the others that we've talked about, but I did think it was well done. I think some of the bits with the supermarket employee that she's like falling or not falling in love with, where it felt a bit forced to me. I don't know, maybe not forced, but like off tonally from the rest of the film, and I was kind of confused by the ending a little bit. Maybe that's just me not kind of understanding those family dynamics as well as somebody who's gone through that experience. I did like it, and I think Ryan, you made a good point about like you understand the dynamics there, like as well as I could as somebody watching it without that experience. Understanding pretty well what the state of that relationship between the mother and daughter is, how awkward it is for the white fiance to come into that dynamic and be just very clueless and completely unable to speak their language, and kind of feeling like a third wheel in their situation there, and like dealing with the dad's death and all that. I think there's a lot of stuff that worked really well. So yeah, I'm glad that you guys liked it so much.
Well, that was number 2. I think we're down to the number 1s now. Yeah.
Are we on to your number 2, John?
My number 2 is already done. That was
number 2 was
Looking at okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So.
All right. My number 1, I wonder if it might be controversial, is Labor Plus Justice.
We have been gathered here today to bear witness to Mrs.
Lucio.
Mrs. Lucio's fruitful and safe delivery to the forthcoming child.
Oh, lovely appearance of death.
This is madness.
You know the law.
No sight upon earth is so fair.
Failure to bring the child into the world alive will result in the immediate execution of the negligent mother.
Can with the dead body compare?
Oh my God, the dramatics.
Oh, I thought it was Mr. Clown Saves the Town.
It was not. So this movie is fucking wild.
Yes.
The craziest movie of the festival, I think. It's shot beautifully in this gorgeous black and white cinematography with tracking shots. And it's like a farcical comedy, but it like just punches you in the dick. Like it's just so upsetting at the same time. And I was just really impressed that they were able to pull off this tonal dissonance and so many emotions throughout the movie, and by the end you're just fucking pissed off. And like it starts out with these these judges, these white judges in these old like judge wigs. They look like they're either from colonial times or from like a modern day British court, but they're clearly Americans, and they're all assembling in this courtroom, and somebody brings in like a greasy paper bag full of food, and they just start having a chicken wing party, which I love a good chicken wing party. They were like going to town, just having a ball. And then like
they're cussing.
They're cursing.
Yeah, right.
They're going crazy. Then a female judge walks in. It's like all these dudes are having a good time, and this woman judge walks in, and she's like, "How dare you start without me?" And then they start going hard, and I was like, "Oh man, what is this? What is happening?" And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's this riotous, farcical comedy. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, a doctor wheels in a pregnant woman, and they're like, all right, we are gathered here today to witness this woman try to give birth to a child. And as per the law of the land, if she does not give birth to a live, healthy baby, she will be sentenced to death. Here we go. And it's just like, holy, and they're announcing this in a very farcical way. And then you're dealing with everybody on the medical side of it that's not a judge is playing it straight, and they're like very concerned, very stressed out. The woman is freaking out. The doctor's like, I have to perform an emergency cesarean section right now. And the judge is like, you fucking know that's against the rules, dude. You got to fucking deliver that baby naturally. And it's just oh my God, it's just such a crazy clash of emotions and tones. And I was just kind of blown away by it. I understand if some people may be offended or off put by this thing, but I was just really impressed. And by the end, I was just really fucking angry. But Ryan, I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, it was hard for me to pick a 2 or a 3, but this was my number 1.
Oh, okay, all right.
There you go.
I think if it had just been the first half of just the judges, like the good old boy thing, it probably still would have been my first. Like that was a hilarious juxtaposition.
Yes,
of
it
that,
was.
like the good old boy society, right? But then yeah, I know it really brings in that like gut punch so well. Like yeah, I agree. It was amazingly shot. The way that they set the judges up like above as they watch this unfold, and yeah, the balance of the very serious birth and their just completely ridiculous way of talking, but it's somehow makes it even worse, right? The fact that they're so like cavalier and cold in a way about all of it,
Yeah.
and just joking and putting them down and
Throwing chicken wings at each other and going
Yes.
and eating and discarding bones while a woman is trying to give birth in front of them. It's like, oh my God.
And they have like so many undertones, like so many religious undertones that are going on where they like, one of them is saying, which I just learned, it was like they're reciting the funeral hymn for a believer. It's like a poem. And it's like the entire time they're delivering the baby, he's just like singing it to the sky. And I think it's supposed to be sung only when you see a dead body. So there's like this anticipation where he like knows that that's what's going to go on. And they play like religious hymns and a choral song. Like there's a choir that's like kind of singing underneath, as they're trying to deliver. And they have as they like deliver the baby and everything is happening. It's just like so fucking brutal. The way that it comes through. And this, again, when I talked about when we were judging and we saw this in between like Mr. Clown Saves the Town and fucking The Day the Earth Got Free Richard Pryor photos, everybody was like, can we just take like 5 minutes after this and like go cool off somewhere? We just need a minute. I think that this short film would play so fucking well right before The Substance, because they both feel like riddled with rage. There's just such an anger to it, but it has that same disgusting aspect of eating food, like chewing through like lives. It's absolutely wild. Labor Plus Justice, directed by Sarah Joy Byington. And I think there's like podcasts with her. She talks about her process through doing it. But yeah, I agree. Impeccably shot. Fucking fantastic. It is not my number 1. It is one of my, there's so many good ones that are just like, I'll just pick what I like, and I'll go with the other stuff and be like, okay, this is technically great. But yeah, it is one of those that's like really just visually arresting and content wise get you fucking riled up to do something.
I thought from a filmmaking standpoint, it was the most impressive thing of from the festival. And then just like, I don't know that I've ever seen anything balance like
that tonal
vastly
shift.
wide tones so well. I was super impressed. Yeah, I don't know how she pulled that off.
I knew when I saw it, I was like, Dixon's gonna make this his top 1. The moment that old lady pulls the beers out, I was like, he's good.
Yes.
They're doing like the party from another round.
Yeah.
They're all drinking Sazeracs.
It's just going crazy. Oh my God. That one judge that always uses the like fancy $5 words. He's like shitting on people.
Yeah.
And this is another one too that I think it works as a short film, and that's it.
Yep.
Right. Like
That's
it
all
is
you need.
exactly the amount of time to get its messages across and like punch you, and then it's out the door. It's done.
Yeah. And it's it shows up. It accomplishes what it set out to do. Just a perfectly executed vision. So yeah. Well, since that's y'all's number 1, I guess I got to talk about mine. I got to be alone on this island.
I was wondering if somebody was going to hate Labor Plus Justice because of just the tonal, like it feels very irreverent, but like, my God, like I don't think it is, it comes across, I think it comes across that way.
I don't think anybody who's encountered it that I've talked to has hated it. They've just been like, it's just so fucking brutal. Like it's,
I can imagine a person who hates it.
Yeah.
Like I think that, I think there's some people that would be like really hurt by making the government, right, making a light of our, political people as this childish or whatever. I think there are people who are like, fuck yeah, they are, right? But
Mhm.
there are people who are like, oh, that's offensive, right? To try to put that on them.
Yeah.
And then the sort of like the quote unbelievability of what's happening. That I'm like, yeah, I think there are people who are like, yeah, that's very fucking horrifyingly possible. And there are people who are like, you're just taking it to an extreme. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah, they would never do that. There's no way.
Yeah.
I would say that there are plenty of government officials who this movie was like not extreme enough on. Like Lindsey Graham has got to be way worse than this. you know, like-
Yeah. Well, I mean, with the recent study that came out about how more women in Texas with the recent abortion laws have had a spike in sepsis due to like this.
Jesus.
Yeah, it just there's so much research now, and you have Republican lawmakers that are trying to like backpedal on all of the bullshit that they've perpetuated, and they're like, well, we're going to try to like make it safer still, and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
For who?
Like, for who? What are
Right.
we trying to discuss here?
Yeah, I mean, exactly that situation of a woman knowing her own health and her own body, a doctor, an expert with years, and they have no power
Yep.
compared to these just fucking dudes.
They can like appeal all
And
that they
Amy
want
Cohen
and
and
say,
I'm sorry, what?
I know that they need this, and they're like, well, that's not what the rules say, so sorry, can't do it.
Right.
Yeah, just a haunting movie.
Yeah, I'm just really upset with their portrayal of chicken wings. Chicken wings are great, and it was very upsetting to see them used in that way. Just throwing it onto the floor at people with wigs.
You'll never think about Pluckers the same again, will you?
My love for Pluckers will never die.
Oh man. So my number one movie, I'm actually kind of curious. Wait, can you all guess? Can you try?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me see. I maybe.
What have we not talked about?
I think I have a guess. Yeah.
All right, Ryan, do you have a guess locked in?
It can't possibly be the clown.
You think it would be? You're like really building it in your head that I would do Mr. Clown.
It can't possibly be that.
I'm pretty sure I know what it is.
I'm pretty sure we like process have eliminated this at this point,
Yeah.
right? So yeah. All right, Dixon.
It's The Event, isn't it?
Why haven't you watched my short film?
Buddy.
Why haven't you watched it?
But you're an actor. You want to act in movies. And then I make a movie and it's
Wow,
not enough.
wow.
You want me to be honest with you?
Yes.
We gotta set up some new boundaries, man. This isn't gonna work.
I don't have to like movies the way that you like movies because I'm an actor. I like acting.
having the most obnoxious conversation I've ever heard in my entire life.
You don't
It's
like
2 a.m.
pasta. What do you mean I don't
Why
like
does
pasta?
your bedroom look like this if you don't like pasta?
Vincent, get the
You really wanna know?
Yeah.
You sure?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it is The Event.
Okay.
Yeah, I
That
feel
is-
like that's the only other one that.
That's the only other
It's
one.
like
I did
that.
like Mr. Clown Saves the Town. Don't get me wrong. There's something
I
that
did like
speaks to the
some of
kid
it.
within me. The kid that shot
There were
like
moments.
handheld video and put like drag and drop effects in. It's like, hell yeah,
Uh-huh.
this movie's fun.
But that's also
But-
why The Event landed
Yeah,
with you.
that's exactly
Yeah.
right. So The Event is it's like the first short that actually kicked off the film festival. It's one of the ones that we saw when we were judging. I like saw it and I was just like, this is to me a perfect short. Like it is in terms of like budget, the way that it's shot, it's like within these realms, they work really well within like one house basically is all that it takes place in. And it's shot entirely like at night. There's just a lot of shadow play, the lighting that they try to do. And the entire story is basically that there's a character who has made a short film, gets meta real fast, and their best friend and roommate has not watched the short film, and it's been over a month since they sent it to them. And they are trying to figure out why their friend hasn't watched it. They're just like obsessing about it at this point. And it leads to this like insane confrontation at night where they just wander into their friend's room, give them a bowl of pasta, and start talking in like a metaphor where they're like
waking him up in the middle of the night.
Waking him up in the middle of the night to talk to him about pasta and how if they both love pasta and they read and ingested all the pasta, and it's like so insane.
Right. It's losing it.
You lived in a
Like-
world where you couldn't cook pasta.
Yeah,
or
it's just
wanted
like-
to cook pasta.
And we moved to this town that was all about making pasta. And,
And like a friend of ours goes out and he makes a bowl of pasta and he hands it to us and we just don't eat it. What does that say about us? We're pasta people. And I think that there's just so much about it that like no word is wasted in the script. Like there's no bit of dialogue in it that serves no ulterior purpose, and it still exposes parts of this friendship and their dynamic that it's not like it needs to go on, but it's like, okay, you immediately know in each developing moment in this where we're at, what's happening. There's an altercation that breaks out where they kind of leave the room and come back in screaming at their friend. And it's like even funnier, just the way that it happens. But something about it is it rings so true to me wanting to be a filmmaker, where like I have this deep-seated anxiety that like even when I make something like and I give it to my friends, will they want to watch it, or like what would they do with it, and like why would I make it at that point? And the whole conversation, the quote that sticks out in my mind after seeing it like 3 times now is like the friend says at one point, like, look man, watching your short film just sounds really fucking boring, like to me. And then he says like, I'm your friend, but I'm not your audience. And it's such like a heartbreaking line to just be like, I mean, I'm like there to support you. I'm happy for you, but like, I don't give a shit about really what you're trying to do. Like, I don't want to see it. There's such an emotional roller coaster that happens in it. And all the while they're still playing with like the shadows. Like they have like a car go by and like the lights kind of like slowly flash over Hugo de Souza, and I can't remember who it was, co-written and co-directed by Hugo de Souza and Frank Mosley, the 2 stars of it. And they just do a fucking phenomenal job. They have such chemistry in it, and they just nail the performances. So I was like, it's concise, it's tight, it speaks to me as a filmmaker. I'm just kind of like a sucker for it. So that's my top 1.
That's cool. This was number 4 on my list, so it was right there on the edge of my top 3. I really liked this too. I think it really taps into that anxiety and emotion and vulnerability that you feel when you create something and you put it out into the world. And like when I write blog posts, or like, you know, especially early on when I started writing, or like when we started this podcast and we were sending episodes out to people, I, you know, send one to somebody and be like, hey, like, you know, think you might be interested in this, check it out, and like check in a few days later, hey, did you get a chance to listen to that? I would really like your input. Like, I'm trying to improve my writing skills. I would love your feedback. And then, you know, you're just like waiting to hear, and you're like, but they're my friend, why haven't they read my blog post yet?
Yeah.
And it's just like, it eats at you in a way, or at least at me personally, in a way that was like, it made me kind of upset with myself, and like, you know, made me feel uncomfortable that I was like that insecure that I needed somebody to read it. I was like, well, I'm friends with this person, like they should support me in this. If they sent me something that they read, I would read it and give them thoughts on it. You know, why don't they want to do that with what I wrote?
Yeah.
And I definitely identify with that dynamic, and I think it's a perfect topic for an emerging filmmaker to make as a short film. Like I thought it was really well done.
Yeah,
excellent pick for the first movie. And that, like, I mean, and then I guess you gave the tonal whiplash afterwards, but
Yes.
like an excellent pick to start off with. I think that meta commentary is great. I did like it as well. I will say it, to me, this is something that I would like see on YouTube and like watch and be like, oh, that was really funny. Like, those guys are funny. That's an interesting thing to think about. It wasn't quite as elevated as a few others for me, as like as an art form.
Yeah.
I do like, I think anyone can kind of appreciate that, like wanting, you know, friends or families support, and sometimes just the difficulty of getting it. And I do think that, yeah, you're right, John, that line was really interesting to me, because I can almost see the flip side of, you want stuff, you want your family to accept you, but maybe like it isn't for them, it's for you or it's for another audience. And
Yeah.
that's like okay. And I know how many, how many artists have struggled with like their family being like, I don't get it. I don't get why you're doing it. And I
Mhm.
think it's like so many artistic mediums and really honestly like just jobs in general have changed so quickly, right? Since the 2000s now with this like quick media, like how many people are posting something to TikTok and their mom and their friends are like, the fuck are you doing? Like
Yeah.
it's weird. And then it's like you look at how many views they're getting and how much they're actually getting an advertisement, and you're still like, I don't get it.
Yeah. I don't
Right.
understand it.
I don't get it. And that sort of like maybe you're not the audience for it.
Yeah. There's that flip. I feel like Hugo de Souza, I don't know if y'all got this vibe, but he, to me, reminded me of Anton Yelchin.
Followed my entrepreneurial instincts. It's the best decision I ever made.
But it's really hard to get a job at this restaurant. So we end up spending most of our time in Pietrasanta just eating pasta and reading about pasta. And it's sad because we want to make pasta.
You know, the thing about this town is the sawdust smells fantastic. But you are still in a hamster cage.
What do you... And then one day, someone we know, a friend, goes out by himself and makes a tiny bowl of spaghetti.
Oh, yeah.
He had like a bit of that performance too. He has like such a vulnerability.
He's the guy who made the short film that hasn't been watched,
yes,
right?
We're pasta people. Like he just, the way he whispers it, he has such a sincerity to his performance that feels like he's been hurt. And it just, it crushes me when I watch it. Cause like, he also has these big, like sparkling eyes. They're not too big, and expressive, but it's just like in the dark too. You're like, oh man, like this guy, he's both crazy and I feel for him waking his friend up with a bowl of pasta.
I'm going to add another compliment comparison. I actually thought of Andrew Garfield when I was watching it.
There you go.
I think because of that vulnerability and sincerity and the like big eye expressiveness that I was like, who's this? Oh yeah, that kind of reminds me of Andrew Garfield a little bit.
Yeah, I could see that. All of those things. I could see Frank Mosley being probably more of like a studio executive sort of actor.
Yeah.
Like I could see that guy being in like a, hey, look, man, they're really not in it. Like it's like Rob Lowe and Thank You for Smoking, where he's like, what time is it in Japan? Hopefully Frank Mosley doesn't listen to this and take offense. I don't know if he'll listen to it at all, but
hey, he did a great job in that role.
Yeah, he did. He fucking crushed it.
And that's the only role we've seen him in. So,
yeah,
we don't want to typecast Frank Mosley.
Yeah, sorry, Frank Mosley. Didn't mean to do it. But yeah, like it also made me think, and I think that's where I'm starting to get more into. I do like the short film scene. I'm loving what Hyperreal is showing me, like what the perspective that I'm being taken through from things that, are clearly made by a scrappy bunch of filmmakers to things that are more thoughtful, not to infer that the scrappy bunch aren't thinking through it, but like vision wise, storyboarding, equipment, all of the gear that comes through with it, the effort that's put into it. I'm like assessing more along the spectrum, close to me and local. And it's even given me a deeper appreciation for Dixon, for your like writing too, like reading through your recent posts, your annual thing. Like this short film reminded me too, like, hey man, like you should support your fucking friends in this. Like this isn't one of those things where you can just like write that shit off, or I don't know, it makes you kind of a shittier person. Like, what am I waiting for? If I preach that I love the local scene and I ignore my friend, like what the fuck am I doing? So there's like those bits that it just gives me, it's a good humility check. And I love getting to see these filmmakers grow. And I'm very excited to see where, Honey and Milk, Supermarket Affairs, like all of those, when we were at the film festival, some of the creators were there. Some people who are associated with the production were there, and they would come up on stage and like say thank you. And they talk about a little bit about what they did. And like, it's just good to see that, good to feel that after, especially after we just got done with the Oscars, where people like playing the wrap it up music.
And I'm wrapping up. Please, I'm wrapping up. I will wrap up. Please turn the music off. I've done this before. Thank you. It's
good to get to like the roots and local scene in it. So
quick shout out to Sean Baker. Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah, Sean Baker. You fucking did it.
Cinema saved.
You and I, Vinegar Syndrome brothers. Sean Baker. I see what you watch.
Yeah, that's cool. And I think the movie isn't like, it isn't coming fully from the perspective of the guy who doesn't want to watch the short film, right? Like it's not just a message to creators saying, hey, like chill out if your friends don't watch your shit. I think it's just exploring this dynamic where it's kind of painting them both as selfish in different ways, right? Where like, you know, one friend is trying to own, 15 minutes of the other's time or however long the short film is. And the other one is, refusing to engage with that and unwilling to give up his time. And it's, kind of just an analysis of that dynamic. And I think it's funny at the end of the movie, the friend who hasn't watched the movie goes back to bed. His girlfriend turns out was in the bed with him the whole time. And she's like, what the fuck was that about? And he's like, he didn't want me to, he still wants me to watch this fucking short film. And she's like, I watched it. And he's like, what, you watched it? We were going to watch it together. And she's like, yeah, but you said you didn't want to watch it. He's like, well, when did you watch it? She's like, I don't know. I watched it a couple times. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, and then it ends with him just like silently opening up his laptop and like you assume that he's watching the short film. But like, I think that's kind of a funny way to like twist that storyline at the end where there's also they are throwing in kind of a different dynamic of couples that like say they want to watch something together and then somebody like cheats on them and watches it without telling the other one. And I thought that was a funny kind of way to pull the rug out from it at the end.
Yeah, just a great balance there between it. It is a great way to wrap it up because otherwise I don't know what you would do other than he feels guilty now and he'll go watch it, and it's a different message than if he was like, wait, what? So yeah, but that was my number one. And with that, like we can get into some honorable mentions. I know there's only 9 in this. We've already talked through a lot of them. Mm-hmm. There any particular honorable mentions or things that y'all want to call out?
I want to give a quick shout out to They're Taking My House.
Oh, hell yeah.
I don't really know why it was called that. It reminded me of Skinamarink, which I actually did not like, but I didn't like Skinamarink because it was like 100 minutes long. Yeah. And They're Taking My House was about 2.5 minutes long. And it was just this very experimental thing that was 100% vibes. I don't know what the fuck's going on, but it was a cool way to spend 2.5 minutes. And I dug it. I had a good time with it. So, I don't know what your guys' thoughts were on that one.
Oh yeah, no, like parts of it reminded me of, I think just the way it's done. Obviously it has this sort of grainy, scratched up, like 8mm vibe to it. It looks very much like, something that like, oh God, why am I fucking forgetting his name? George Méliès.
Oh,
yeah,
would
do.
you? How dare you forget the name of George Méliès?
I didn't forget it. I remembered it. I was like, God, George Méliès? Who is?
He took us to the moon, goddammit.
And yay, there were many prawn people in the moon. Not porn people, people who look like prawns. I'll just clarify. But yeah, that just the... Watching that in silence, it's so visually arresting and unsettling through that same audio mechanic that I think Skinamarink was. And I was talking to a friend of mine recently who said that he actually really enjoyed Skinamarink and was terrified by it. And I was like, I didn't get the same vibe. I got the atmosphere, but like it kind of went on for too long. Curious if I sent this to him, if it would be like an aftershock or some kind of extra dose, because the like negative photos of the woman looking into the camera. There's even one that reminded me of Hausu, where like the woman looks in the mirror and like her head just is on fire and disappears. Like those atmospheric abstract bits, like along with whatever voice was groveling into the microphone, the right amount of like skin crawl for me, or I'm just like, oh fuck, I don't know what it is. I don't like it.
And I talked about Skinamarink on this podcast when I saw it, and my comment was like, I think it would be a great short film, but it's just too long. And when I saw it in the theater, and I don't think that's the right setting for it. Like you need to be watching it on a tube TV sitting on the floor, with 2 feet away from it. But I like, this was like very similar to Skinamarink in short film form, and it was, I liked it a lot. So I think that kind of vibe can work for me in the right situation.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think that this is another example of something you can only do with this medium. I've gotten really interested in exploring like different mediums for like what they are, as we mentioned, that like the animation um, in Tightly Wound really gave you something you couldn't have done
Yeah.
live. Like this is also something that you can only do through the video and audio, right? You can't like normally make the sound of a backwards sound, right? And that's why it
Mhm.
is so unsettling to hear something like that, right? Or the negative images look weird to
Yeah.
us, right? Because it's like your mind can tell it's wrong in some way, but you can only produce those things through those specific mediums to give that specific feeling. It's really cool to see that. I'm reading House of Leaves, which I think is a good example of that. It's a book that can only be a book. There's no way to read that book as an audiobook and make sense of it. There's no way they can make it into a movie and have it be the same
Wait,
thing.
it doesn't
like,
make sense as an audiobook?
That's wild.
no. So it's
Are there
honestly like
illustrations?
Is it like Dixon's
within like the
top
first
100
couple
list?
chapters, there's footnotes within the footnotes. Like and there are parts of the like there's in the center of the page another set of text that's like backwards.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Or like written up the side of the page, and then there's like pages of like garbled
I bet the
text written over
publisher
text.
hated
Oh,
printing
man.
that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
It
been
has to be.
like that's wild because I've actually recently gotten into to writing some poetry. I have a friend who
that's
just got
cool.
her I think she got her PhD. She's now like a professor at Texas State, and she's been posting like different poems that mess with the medium, like having people write things a certain way. And so like I've been trying to do visual poetry where when you write out the actual poem, you're writing it in the elements that it uses. So like when it rains in a poem that I'm writing, I'll try to like make the
yeah.
words fall a certain way. It's kind of interesting, and I've
Oh.
never done it that way. I've always been like a typewriter guy where I'm just like, I got to type it out. I want to see it. But now I'm fucking around with how it's organized, and it's wild to me to be like, oh, this is like there's no way to represent this when I'm speaking to somebody about it. Like there's no way for them to get that until they read it. So yeah, that sounds fascinating. And yeah, they're taking my house is the same kind of like, what the fuck is, I also have watched this 3 times again and just realized that in like one of the scenes, there's like it's like a painting or some kind of like distance, sort of like vista where there's a figure and they fall off of like a bridge or like a knoll into the water of like a river. And that is a portrait in that woman's house, which I didn't realize. It's so small. It's such a small detail.
Oh wow.
But when you look at it, you're like, oh, that thing is happening in her house. And then there's all these layerings of like the timeline of her doing things, like her rocking chair rocking without her in it, and like 8 different ghostly sort of versions of her doing something. And like, none of it tries to explain itself to you. It doesn't need to. It just is one of those art pieces where like you get out of it at the end and you're like, well, now I got to talk to somebody about it. I don't know what the fuck I just saw, or
Yeah.
like, well, what am I trying? What is the experience? It's unsettling, but why?
It almost to me felt like a visual equivalence to the Beatles song Revolution 9, where they're just like throwing a bunch of random sound effects into it, and it's like so experimental, and they're just like it's not really music, right? It's like they're just fucking around doing different voice recordings and different sound effects, and like this movie, it's like not really a movie, right? But it's like experimenting with the medium and trying to do something cool and interesting with it in a way that could potentially like further the form, or maybe not, and we all go on and do something else. But I thought it was a really cool exercise.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, and I think that it kind of fits perfectly with my other honorable mention, which is the day the Earth got freaking free Richard Pryor photos.
I was waiting for you to talk about this one because I don't know what the fuck that was. It was like a bunch of random clips from like 50s sci-fi movies and commercials.
I know
and
Ryan
other
loved
things,
it because it had the Hulk in it.
I don't think Richard Pryor was in it at all.
There wasn't really any.
There were weren't there like tickets to Richard Pryor?
Yeah, there was like tickets to Richard Pryor, and that was like
stuff.
part of one frame.
Yeah.
it just wild what went into it. So like this is something from American Genre Film Archive and AGFA, which is they distributed a lot of great quality movies that are in my Blu-ray collection.
They show a lot of shit at like Weird Wednesday.
They
Alamo
do,
Draft
yeah.
House.
They are they're Austin local.
I didn't know that.
Yep. So this entire thing was produced here in Austin, and it there's like a little like slide at the very end of it it lasts for like 3-4 seconds, and it just says this 2 minutes took over 50 plus hours to actually make.
Oh, I bet.
And because it's like
the award for most editing goes to
like AGFA must have some crazy power editors or some shit, because I don't even know how they've just
a dungeon of slaves.
Physically they just think about it, but
keep editing.
This is it's a montage. That's the only way that I can really describe it, is a montage of fucking crazy film.
A montage.
Ooh, we need a montage. And so they like
gotta speed up time with a montage.
Somebody has taken the painstaking time, and that somebody I have not forgotten. I have the name right here. It's Ivan Pachev has taken the time to go and carve out literally pieces of film and layer them over each other into this montage. And then they had to, because they couldn't run that film through a scanner proper, they had to individually scan each frame of it as it layers over, which is what took the 50 hours to do this. All of it comes together in this fucking brain melting experience where you see random dental ads, and there's some really funny, like, just editing aspects of overlay. Like there's a building that falls over. It has like a side of the building keeps falling over in some like wartime newsreel or some shit. And it just says the rent you can afford in like subliminal text every time. This is a new level
Can't
of humor.
afford a 4-walled apartment? Try a 3-walled apartment.
I'm starting to catch on to some of AGFA's humor because I've gotten some of their montage reels where they'll make a mixtape of this kind of shit. It's like an hour and 10 minutes of just editing craziness from like the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Do they do some of the Draft House pre-roll footage?
They probably have some blended in because they partner with like Something Weird and some other stuff. But yeah, like I'm getting this whole new sense. If you're out there and you're an editor and you're really interested in a non-verbal language of film, watching AGFA's cuts is wild, because it's just like there's some thought process that went into it, that went into this, that like I'm not on that same level just yet, but I kind of get it. And I think that film even ends with a quote. I wrote it down here. It's somebody just saying, what happened and why? Is it inevitable? And like that fucking brain melting aspect. And then a quote that's on screen for 5 seconds is, copyright infringement is your best entertainment value.
Yeah.
Like those moments just fully unhinged. And in the credits, they also credit Satan just scrawled into the 35 millimeter.
If you use a random 2 seconds from some clip where you can't tell what it's from because it's the 2 seconds that aren't very memorable in the course of the clip, no one will find out.
Yeah, exactly. It's fucking wild.
Yeah, I can't pick it up. You're good to go.
So, yeah.
Do you know the Avalanche's song "Frontier Psychiatrist"?
I don't know that. Should I play the karaoke version?
I was like, this is like the visual version of that audio. It's a it's electronic music where all the audio clips are pulled from like one comedy sketch and a John Waters movie.
Okay.
And then the music is like sampling other music as well. So it is sort of this same like all cut up pieces like recontextualized within. And it's a trip. You should check that out. Check out the Avalanches in general. Like they just have some of that weird stuff, but it's the same sort of thing where it just is like it works and it doesn't work. Like and it's the kind of thing that like the Avalanches is one of those, like, I don't think it's for everybody, again, it's like there's sort of an audience that digs something like that. That's just sort of this mash of all this other stuff in the same way that like, it's funny, but you kind of I don't know that you can take much more than this. You said there were like ones that were longer.
They are longer, and you're free to watch them, Ryan, at any point. I'm happy to lend you a copy, figure out how to get it to you.
I would dig it. Like, I did enjoy it. Like, it was funny, but it definitely was trippy.
I feel like this was a thing that you would like put on at a party, you know, like a long edit of something like this.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it's there and you can look at it for a bit and like, oh, that's interesting. There's like a series of interesting visuals that look cool, but like you don't have to just sit there and focus on it for the entire, like this was 2-3 minutes long, right? Like it's not that big a deal to sit through, but like, you know, an hour of this would be a lot to sit through.
Yeah,
but,
you're getting into like these because I took a course at it wasn't Austin Film Society specifically. It was like one of the art offshoots, and it was all about like tactile 16 millimeter, making like an abstract art piece out of a strip of 16 millimeter from like the 70s. So what I learned was that there have been several pioneers in that aspect of the medium, where if you're really fascinated with the art of painting on frames or scratching into like the emulsion, that there are artists that you can find. And I have a copy of, it's like I want to say it's an hour and 40 minutes to 2 hours of somebody using like melted film mixed with some other layering on it. And it's got like, there's no real narrative to it. It's just strung together for this atmospheric appeal to it. But they screened it at AFS. And according to the art instructor in my class, she was like, not a lot of people went to it. And you really don't want to go unless you're really prepared to see something like this. And she was like, either be on some kind of substance or you absolutely are plugged into that part of the art venue and you know. And I feel like AGFA walks that line where they have such flippancy within their film reels that it's kind of funny. Like, I feel like Dixon, we could watch one of their blends and we would talk throughout it, but there are moments where like they literally have like the classic like, oh, here's the milkman to come talk to this class of 50s students. And he's like, kids, milk's really important. And then it would like intersplice like dead animals in between or some shit like that, where the editor's just fucking with it. I'm like, this is great. This is fantastic. This is exactly what editing can do. Just undercut the message of other media.
Yeah, that's cool. They kind of reminds me of like, you know, like 1960s European, especially cinema, was like really trying to innovate the form and do interesting things. And if you've seen Persona, the Bergman film, there's like the first like 2 minutes of it are just like a random edit montage. There's like an erect penis for like 3 frames where you're like, wait, what? It's like you're like your mind barely registers it because it's like 3 frames in a 24 frame per second movie. You're like, what the fuck was that? And he just like keeps going, and it's just like it's like I think, you know, editing is just such a fantastic or it's such a fascinating art form. Like, you can do so many interesting things with it, and, you know, taking something that someone else shot and making it entirely your own by just crafting a narrative out of it. That like, maybe that's, you know, you're working as an editor on a normal movie and trying to achieve the director's vision, or it's just you're taking random shit and splicing it together, and you can create something really fascinating out of that.
Or you're taking like older films and fixing them again or whatever. Like, I mean, editing has saved Star Wars, because Star Wars now has edited versions that recreate the original, which is wild that we'd have to have editors do this. Like,
they also ruined Star Wars though.
Yes, editing did ruin it. Yeah, post-production and editing ruined Star Wars. Editing is a wildly powerful tool that has shaped the media landscape and shapes your experience with any kind of film. You can easily undercut the most dramatic moment by putting the fucking Seinfeld theme in it.
What do you want?
I want to ask you a few questions, Joanne. Come on, let's go, drive.
I've got nothing to say to you. Get out or I'll scream.
You scream, I swear to God, I'm gonna stick you with this thing, all right? I found it in the gutter. I'm sure you're familiar with AIDS.
So,
or by changing the order of the people that shot at each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. It would be interesting if you could pull together some things that would give a good example to sort of the layperson of the different aspects of movie making. Because I actually was having a conversation with my daughter the other day where she was like, well, what does a director do? Like, beyond like being the head of it. And I'm like, what?
Nothing.
And she's like, well, yeah, right.
He points at people and says, work, damn it, work.
Yeah. Why would it matter that it was this director or that director, right? And being able to kind of like see and show like that difference.
Yeah.
I guess you could make the same movie, but just have a different like director, or have a different editor, and be able to put them next to each other.
Well, like if you ever wanted to tell Ella about it, like one thing that you could do is frame it with extremes for her to understand, because like, let's take like William Friedkin, for example, who notoriously has like slapped a few people on his set to give them the right emotion and adrenaline. Whereas, which I'm listening to the audiobook by Sidney Lumet about his fucking directorial work, which I will say Sidney Lumet doesn't care for Teamsters, everybody.
And last, there is the Teamster driver. He gets a union minimum of about $900 a week plus overtime. The first thing the Teamster does is head for the coffee machine. He tries a piece of the coffee cake, then a Danish, a glass of orange juice to wash down the coffee, and then a bagel, heavily buttered to get rid of the taste of the Danish. A little egg salad, a little fruit, and finally, he tiptoes back downstairs again to do whatever it is that Teamsters do all day.
I don't know if anybody knew that or not, but
it's very disappointing to hear from Mr. Lumet that he's anti-union work.
He's very anti-union work, and he's also, I don't know if it's as disappointing, he's anti-Tom Landry.
As a very cynical Cowboys fan who gets less invested every year, I'm fine with that.
Oh man. But like,
I apologize
to
everyone for being a Cowboys fan.
But in the process of listening to his director's vision in his book, he's talked about how in one shoot he slapped one of his actresses because he wanted her to cry and she couldn't cry. And she cried and she hugged him after and said, that was exactly what I needed. And he gave her a hug and he said, I'm never doing that again. I'm so sorry to you. And like that to me is like the difference between,
at least he realized it
director.
right away.
Yeah. He realized what he'd done was too far. And he was like, that's fucking wrong. And I think that's like a good example of like, here's what direction should be in terms of like, you could try to get it out of them by any means necessary, or you could try to walk them into the emotion. Like he made De Niro do, or not De Niro, he made Pacino do his same scene in Dog Day Afternoon so many times, the phone call scene, until he was just emotionally exhausted. That's like its own kind of thing where they're both working through it and trying to understand what they're getting through. But I don't think that Ella's old enough to see Dog Day Afternoon yet. So
no, probably
just talk
not.
about Encanto and how
it was harder to explain it with animation. We ended up we watched Wicked, and it's a whole nother conversation. But I was actually won over that of like,
you told us you would never watch Wicked, Ryan.
You lied to us.
I think we ended up leaving off with it. Didn't you say since it was nominated, you were feeling obligated to watch it?
I didn't watch it though.
You're going to watch it.
I held strong. It was the one Best Picture nominee that I did not watch.
Everybody, you hear that? He watched Emilia Perez, but he didn't watch Wicked.
I did.
Get him. Get him, crowd.
I did. I actually liked Emilia Perez. I know that that makes me a horrible person, but
he liked it. Burn him. Burn him with his witchcraft.
We made a family deal. I got to watch Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Everyone else got to watch Wicked. This was the exchange.
Was that a good deal for you, Ryan?
Yeah, Wicked was interesting to try to sit there and gel with.
Anytime you can watch a James Marsden movie, you got to take that opportunity.
James Marsden's
it's that or Craven the Hunter for the family.
They figured out in the second and third movie how to just like keep him out of frame.
Yeah,
honestly, he's like barely in it. We're like, wait a minute. Isn't this a Sonic the Hedgehog movie?
Yeah. Wait, what?
But no, we talked about the like physical aspects and like realism that the director tried to bring to the sets, and using realistic lighting and using realistic sound along with their singing, like actually tried to give some substance to an otherwise completely ridiculous thing.
Yeah. I
like
feel
the substance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the director just tells everyone how to do their jobs, right? And so everybody's work is affected by the director's
sort
vision.
of that, but there's also like a certain, so like we've done direction on this podcast. Like when we used to do fake ads, we would try to do direction from each other. We feed off of like, here's what might be better. And it's like, it's hard. Like I've come to understand trying to give direction is hard because you're trying to communicate something that you both have to have the same understanding about your emotions in and what you're trying to do. And it's, I remember somebody at one of the Hyperreal events, they were not a volunteer or like they were just a filmmaker who wandered up and were drunk enough, was trying to give me instructions and like help me. And they were like, no, like, how did you direct? Because I was talking about how I made a short film in college. I I was disappointed.
You made a
with
short
part of
film
it.
in college?
I did. It was
John,
for,
how have I not seen this?
It was for a class. It's not great. I don't want to share it with people. I'm very embarrassed about it. But I liked what I was doing in the moment, because it was kind of like sort of flippant. It had this like Red Scare 1950s aesthetic I was trying to go for, this stupid old vintage film PSA. And in it, I wanted to make it about how violent video games kill people, because that's hilariously stupid as an idea. And so I made it be like there was Johnny Everychild, and he was an innocent man, like innocent boy, and then he got his hands on violent video games, and now he's choking his friends and like whatever.
It sounds exactly like you, John.
Exactly, it is.
John.
Yeah, it's very much on brand for me. And like in one scene, one of my friends who is my co-partner on it in college, he's choking out Johnny Everychild, or being choked out by him. But he's like, you can tell he's hamming it up, and it's campy, and it's not like legitimate. And I want it to be like that reefer madness, like insane, take it serious. And I just couldn't get him to do it. And I was telling this person
you're
about
trying to achieve a labor plus justice level of dissonance.
Yes,
in your movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going for it, and it's not there.
It's hard to do, man. I've never seen anything like that.
Man, it's so hard to pull off. It's so hard to pull off. And so like, that's like the only scene in it. The rest of it is like fine. It's all editing fun. It's whatever the fuck. But like that one scene just rings so false that I'm like, I can't watch this. And I was trying to tell this person about it, and they were like, well, you see, what you did wrong is you tried to tell him to be choked. Here's how you direct somebody who's being choked. And I was like, oh, please tell me. How does everybody know who's being choked and how they're feeling? And it just became this whole like almost farcical experience where I was like, I feel like I'm in a satire right now, being told by somebody like this how to choke somebody or teach them how to act like it. So it's like, I don't know. But
that's the movie. The guy is like, here's how you act choked. Here, grab my neck. And then you like, and then, but he's like, no, you don't squeeze harder so I can do it. And then you just like kill him.
No, grab that gun, load it with real bullets. I want to feel what it is. I have to, it's Edward Norton and Birdman. It's gotta be real. Fucking in my face. And you got that shit. But it is one of those things where like after that, whenever we were doing our fake commercials and I was trying to like coach y'all or like direct y'all through some parts of it, I was like, some of it is just like, this isn't my fucking thing. Like, this is your ad. Like we want to make it what you want it to be. I don't want to encroach on it, but like maybe this would be good. Like, we're all trying to make like the same dish. Like we're preparing pasta. You know?
I feel like we tried to we tried to align with whoever wrote the ad to do what they were trying to do.
Ryan did the Flim Family, and Dixon did the Coors where he was Sam Elliott. And it was
Coors,
fucking great.
The Rockies.
I did the fucking Travis Bickle hotline.
Oh, that was great. Yeah. I miss the fake ads. They're good. They just they took a lot of energy to come up with, but I really enjoyed doing
all the more appreciation for people who come up with that stuff, because it's fucking hard, and I don't want to use AI because that's just chill work, man. I don't fucking do it. The one movie that we haven't mentioned, I'm getting back to this because we got to finish it out. We've mentioned it several times, actually. It's been a joke, and yeah. But that's kind of what it's going for, is Mr. Clown Saves the Town, which I will say, I'll give it my honorable mention. This is not a pity honorable mention either. Aaron Mosmeyer, if you're listening, I actually got to meet this guy. That's Mr. Clown. That's also the director and the writer of this short film. You tapped into some piece of me from like my late teens to my early college years that I have not known in some time, with how fucking goofy and wild this short is, because it feels like I met him at the Hyperreal Short Film Festival, and what I said to him was, "You're Mr. Clown," and he begrudgingly said, "Yes, I am."
He said, "Yes, I am."
Bartender, it's me. And I will say,
the road.
there are a lot of little bits in this that I really appreciate and love, and it's like this goofy kinetic energy that I appreciate in a film where it doesn't give a shit. It just wants to do what it wants to do. There's a funny idea that it wants to get behind, and it's going for it. And like the initial start of it being this like, okay, we're going to do like a noir and we've got a black and white filter on it. And
that lasts about 30 seconds.
Lasts about 30 seconds. And it's like, we need your help, Mr. Clown. There's a shipment of euros coming in that needs to...
Of gyros.
It's pronounced Euro, God damn it.
Gyros?
It's pronounced Euros.
God damn it. Just these bits of like drag and drop, there's special effects in it. It's all about a clown who's going to save. It's not even saving the town technically.
No,
he's just
it's protecting some local sandwich shop from mimes.
Yeah, from crime mimes who nothing they do is pretend. There's like those kind of like little bits where this feels like whereas you get something else, I don't want to, comparing and contrasting is always dangerous. And so forgive me, filmmakers, as I do this. It's a necessity to point out the difference in the vibe I got from it. But like things like...
this movie was on a different wavelength than
on
everything
a totally
else
different
at the
wavelength than
festival.
everything else.
Yeah.
Where you have like, they're taking my house and the Richard Pryor stuff is like, way more atmospheric or this feeling of film and how it is. And then you have other things like Tightly Wound and Supermarket Affairs that are narrative driven in this way. This feels like filmmaking via a bunch of friends. Like we all have a camera. I have an idea. Let's fucking do it. And let's just riff off of what goes on.
The top of a parking garage.
Exactly.
To film on. Yeah.
It has that scrappy aspect.
Yeah, that's
to
the
it.
same scene from the same place they shot that scene in The Departed, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. Or Infernal Affairs or whatever you want. I think Old Boy was shot in the hotel nearby. But yeah, like there's just those sequences in it where the characters will say shit that anticipates what the audience would think. And it becomes less about the structure of the story and more about the fun dialogue of like, how can we fuck around with what people thinks is next, or how they think this is humdrum, or, we know we don't have the budget to do this. How can we make this work? And so this is one of those short films where like, if you're out there and you've watched something like Velocipaster, which I have a lot of friends tell me.
I have seen Velocipaster.
Yeah, Velocipaster. There's kind of a similar vibe and kinship to it, I feel like.
I'm pretty sure I watched that like piss drunk during COVID on a Netflix stream with friends. That was a thing that was going on at the time. Yeah.
I really thought you were going to say on Ambien, but
no, it was definitely whiskey. Yeah.
But yeah, Mr. Clown Saves the Town. Honorary mention, Aaron Mosmeyer. I was delighted I got to meet you. It seemed like a really fun shoot. So keep up the great work. Do whatever your fucking heart tells you to do.
I don't want to bring any negativity to the Hyperreal Festival, so I won't. But I will say that I always enjoy children cursing. It gets me every time. So I just loved they had like this fucking like 11-year-old kid who was just dropping F-bombs left and right, and I enjoyed that.
Good shit. So yeah, well, there you have it, everybody. If you want to check out any of these short films, some of them still on the short film circuit, some of them available on YouTube. I will include links where I can to what I can. They are also on Letterboxd for you to mark as a watch list item so that you can indicate you'd like to check it out, which is pretty fucking rad. Thank you to Hyperreal for
we will all rate them on Letterboxd, Ryan, so that you all can see them if you follow us there.
That's right.
John, I'm curious to hear where did you rank Labor Plus Justice? Because Honey and Milk, Ryan and I both had 3 and you had 2, so we know we all have that very high. Labor Plus Justice, Ryan and I both had number 1. Where did you have that? Those seem to be our consensus top 2 films from this.
I'm going to say it's number 4 and Supermarket Affairs number 5.
Okay.
If I had to rank them that way.
All right. Yeah. So those are kind of right there at the top of the list.
They kind of fight for it. Of course, the rankings can always change. To quote the dad from the Iron Claw.
Carrie's my favorite, then Kev, then David, then Mike. But the rankings can always change.
So who knows? Maybe tomorrow I could wake up and they'd be at a different shape.
Short films from the Hyperreal Film Festival. You can always keep fighting for John's
That's
love.
right. Yes, of course you can. And maybe if you can take on Ric Flair in the ring, I might appreciate you more. I don't know.
I don't know. I've seen Doink the Clown wrestle. It's not good, John.
They should do a partnership. Doink the Clown. Bring him back.
I've seen Donald Trump wrestle. It's not good either.
Oh my God. Anyways, well, that does it for us here at Afterthoughts, and I'm glad that y'all could tune in for it. I'm glad that I was able to bring you along for the journey, Ryan and Dixon, for the Hyperreal Short Film Festival.
Yeah, thanks for the suggestion. This was fun. John, you finally went to a film festival. I've been trying to drag you to local film festivals for years, and you have constantly just given me a middle finger and told me to go fuck myself.
Yeah.
And now you've found your own festival that you really like, and I'm happy for you.
I really do enjoy it. Now that I see the appeal of a film festival, I will probably go to more.
You know, there are films in these film festivals. That's generally the appeal.
See, you know, the real thing that I think it is, I'm going to just go on a little tangent here.
Okay.
I think that it's because I got to watch it and know that I could talk about it with good friends. That's really, because if I go watch it on my own, like, fuck me, who am I and what am I trying to do here? I don't care.
I mean, that's just life, man.
That is just
gotta
life.
Ask yourself that all the time.
But like,
yeah.
you know, it's just, there's a more wholesome experience when you go out into the wilderness with your friends and you survive and come back than if you were to find a dead bear and leave it in Central Park. And with that, yeah, like I'm just glad that y'all could be here. And I, again, thank you to Hyperreal for allowing us to watch this and experience this short film festival and talk about it. And I hope that, I wish all these creators good luck. And with that, we'll sign off here. I have been your host, John Garcia. With me as always,
Ryan King. Yep. Thanks, John. I always appreciate, I feel like short films can do so much, and there are so many movies that do have so much more time and do less.
Yes.
Yeah,
true.
For sure.
And also joining me,
Michael Dixon. I will say that overall, the Hyperreal Short Festival was far better than the Oscar-nominated animated shorts that I watched last week in preparation for the Oscars. So, congratulations to all the filmmakers involved here. Really good work. I'm still Michael Dixon. Thanks for putting up with my bullshit.
the movie Argyle was based off of Ryan's life.
You saw that movie, John?
I wouldn't say I saw it so much as I had to watch it with relatives.
Oh, interesting. I avoided that one. Yeah.
Well, you avoided a bomb. So good job.
I try to avoid movies starring cats. Cats, one of the worst movies I've ever seen. So I just try to steer clear of that.
Disney's Aristocats? Do you count animated cats?
I liked that as a child, but I probably haven't seen it since I was like 8.
Haven't gone back to it.
So I don't know.
Lion King, that's cats.
Way off the short film festival.
But Aristocats seems like it's about like just rich twats doing rich shit. You know, it's like I don't need any of that in my life.
Do you remember the racism that they casually accepted as Aristocats?
No, but that sounds on brand.
That was all Disney movies. Yeah, that was Disney movies.
Oh God, Jesus. Hey there, movie buffs, TV toughs, and all listeners in between. John here from the Afterthoughts podcast. I just wanted to drop in at the end of this episode and say thanks for listening. If you've got afterthoughts of your own to share, hit us up. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at The Afterpod, or jump into a conversation on our Discord server. You can find info for this and more at theafterpod.transistor.fm. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.